5 years, and she has graduated from North Carolina Central University and received her Master of Science degree in nursing from East Carolina University. She also holds a certification in the care of adult medical and surgical patients. She is a wife, mother, and born again child of the Most High King.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Family Health Matters. I'm your host, Wendy Bridgers, and we are here live in the studio on Awesome Radio 106.9 FM. We are here every Thursday from 3 to 3:30 on Family Health Matters because we know the health of our families matter. So excited to have with me in the studio, live and in person, Dr. Newell-Byrd, Jan Newell-Byrd. And why I'm so excited about this is because next month is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and she is going to be the keynote speaker there, and I got her first. So we're going to be talking about today about domestic she informed me not to use violence. We want to say abuse. So domestic abuse awareness. So Dr. Newell-Byrd, welcome to Family Health Matters. So glad to have you in the studio with us on today. And if it's okay, can I call you Jan?
Oh, please.
Because I know your son, Dr. Newell. I'm afraid I'm going to keep saying Dr. Newell.
No, Jan is just perfect.
Well,
yes.
Thank you, Jan. Thank you so much for being here with me on today on Family Health Matters. I'm so excited because you are a minister, you are a renowned author, and we're going to talk a little bit about your books that you've written, you're going to share with us, and you also a two-time domestic violence survivor.
That is correct.
And that is why we're so excited, not only, but that's one of the reasons we're excited that you're here with us on today. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the event that you'll be speaking at in a couple of weeks now. So We're going to share some information about that so that people can actually join us in the event. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Jan, and tell us, how you are a specialist at this. So just talk to us a little bit about your history, your family.
Well, Wendy, I thank you for this opportunity to share my story and to tell a little bit about me. I was born to two wonderful parents who were older. My dad was 46 when I was born, and my mom was 33, and I was the oldest child. So I was treated more like a grandchild than a daughter, and they paid a lot of attention to me. And I have a sister. Her name is Ada. We were listened to. We were doted on. We were the apple of our parents' eye. And as I think back now, I think we were probably overprotected. We didn't have that term back in my day, but they would probably be called helicopter parents because they hovered over us and they took good care of us. And so it was a wonderful home environment. I didn't even know we were poor until I went to graduate school and heard a description of poverty in one of my sociology classes. And it made it sound so bad. And I said, that's me. But we didn't know we were poor. We were just loved so much. So
I think that's great, that you cannot know that because, that's only what people say.
That's right.
That is not, is when you're loved, and sometimes love is always more valuable than tangible things. So we can always define our own, what we're rich in.
I was rich in love and family.
Yes. So now, in your books, and also by you being our guest speaker at the 5th annual Domestic Violence Impact Luncheon. So tell us a little bit about how you got there, or how has life brought you to this point with being a domestic violence survivor?
That is an excellent question, because really, I should have been the last person to be involved in domestic abuse, because my father was so active in my life, and he had trained me I looked at all men like my dad. I just thought all men had that healthy self, shall I say, self-esteem, and that desire to protect their family. And like I said, I was overly protected. I thought all men were like that. So when I went off to college, I was not prepared for the real life. And I met a husband. I called them husband number one and husband number two, which is weird. I never used their name.
Oh, okay. Well, I can appreciate
husband number
that.
one, he was 26. No, he was 24 and I was 19. And we met in the second year of college. He was brilliant. Oh my God, got straight A's, and my grades were more colorful, more diversified, shall we say. And he really helped me to learn how to study. And that is a very important trait that many of us have not learned, and we struggle until we learn how to study. And so he taught me that, but he had some issues. He had been a veteran from not the Second War, not that far back, but the Korean War.
Oh, okay.
And so he was going to school on the GI Bill. And I was straight out of high school, not knowing that he had these issues. He had some strange behavior. Even some of the kids on campus talked about him. But I just overlooked all of that. I just thought everybody was wonderful. And after we got married, it really manifested itself in he had a violent temper, but it wasn't all the time, of course. But I didn't have that discernment. Most people could have seen it immediately, but I didn't, because I just grew up rather naive, thinking everybody was okay.
Yeah.
Everybody is not okay.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're learning that now.
Yeah. And I think too, everybody is being more vocal about it, when you think.
Well, yes,
because back
in my day.
people were just really silent about it. So as you talk about that, so what would you think would be some traits that you may think can make you more susceptible?
Maybe my traits or the traits of the abuser?
Both. Let's talk a little bit about, your traits. What would make, or not just personally you, but somebody that would find themselves in an abuse situation. What was some traits that you might would? Is that an just question, or?
That's a very good question. Because I was asking my children, my daughter especially, I said, what is it about me that I seem to attract not just abusers, but I attract people who are needy, shall we say. And she says, well, Mom, I think that you have that willingness to forgive. You overlook or you forgive things that other people made. That might be a red flag for them. And she said, you're very kind, you're very sensitive. You don't give up on people easily. You're long-suffering, and you're persistent and patient. Now, those are good traits.
Yeah.
But if someone is an abuser, they can take advantage.
Good.
Advantage of that.
And that's I don't mean to cut you off,
sure,
but that's a good
do.
point, because people think that because you just described those traits, and that's something that everybody wants to be. Everybody wants to have people to think that way about them.
Yes.
And so you can sort of set yourself up, for something, in the long run, but it's not frowned upon that you're doing it. That's just that person. You just need to make sure. I think this will help people to be aware, to make them aware of how they need to make sure they're watching their relationships.
That's a good point. And I had no awareness of that.
Right, yeah.
I was just open, because that's the way it was with my family. Nobody took advantage of me because of those positive traits.
Right.
But there are others who will not see it as positive. They might see it as a sign of weakness. And it's not weakness, it's strength. But the person, I needed more discernment. I needed to be more wise and looking out and seeing that everybody is not working in my best interest and to know the difference.
Yeah. So now with that being said, so okay, that's to know the difference. So what about the traits of somebody who you may be getting ready to enter a relationship with, and you see or notice certain traits? I know we're not trying to stereotype anybody, but just maybe some red flags that would cause you to say, oh, do I need to go here or not?
I'm so glad you're bringing this up. I just wish someone had brought it up for me, and maybe they did. And I just didn't. I wasn't acute enough to perceptive enough to see the difference. And someone who jokingly puts you down. At first, you just think, but that is, if they constantly are putting you down, even in a playful manner, that should be a red flag. Some gestures, just a slight shove or push in a playful manner that can escalate and then become more aggressive. Making promises and breaking those promises. I'm going to be there at 8:00. I'm going to take you here or there. We're going to go out to dinner. And yet that doesn't materialize. And it happens often. There's something wrong with that. They don't keep their word. They're extremely jealous. They want to monopolize your time, even to the degree that they don't want you to associate that much with your family. That is a isolation. Big red flag. Now, at first, you know, it seems as if they are just so enamored with you and they want to be with you, but not to that extent that your close friends and your family are being excluded and you're being pulled away. That should be a big red. Anything that mind controlling, trying to make you think that the whole world revolves around you and them, but nobody else. Not good. Not healthy.
Not healthy. Okay. Good.
So that's some of the things and those red flags were there. I mean, they probably were as bright and big as a neon sign, but here again, I still didn't get the hint.
Yeah. And you know, sometimes I think and this is Family Health Matters. Okay, so it's important when we pull family in.
You got to pull them in.
And sometimes family sees those red flags, and we may see them, but choose not to. That's right. Recognize that they're there.
You are so right. But the family can, because they love you and you know they love you, they can hone in on it. But it's interesting that my parents put so much credence. They had so much confidence in me in understanding and knowing the difference that they didn't say a lot, which I think back on, and I kind of raised my children a little differently.
Right. Well, you learn. That's what we do. We learn from our parents.
We do.
Things that they may not have been aware of or may not know.
And it was a different time.
Yeah, different time. Yeah. So that's why we have all these things, and that's why we're here today.
That's right.
Hopefully opening up some understanding and some insight to be helpful. And I just want to put this out there. If anybody wants to join in on the conversation, you can feel free to call in at 252-756-2008. That's a call-in number to the studio if you want to ask Jan any questions. But 252-756-2008. So that was great talking about the traits of. So before we came on, we were talking about the topic, and I had said domestic violence, and you said abuse sounds better. Not better, but it incorporates more. Tell me a little bit more about the difference between
I think thank you for letting me elaborate on that. We, as society, as I think October is Domestic Violence Month. Yes. We put a great deal of emphasis on the violence because the violence is terrible. It really is. And it's something that you can see. It's very overt. You can x-ray a person if they have a broken bone or black eyes. You can see that. It's very visible. And therefore, we put a great deal of emphasis on the the pervasiveness and the tragedy of the violence.
Mhm.
But when I look at my two husbands, husband number one was physically violent. Husband number two never put a hand on me. And yet, what I experienced with him in emotional abuse, verbal abuse, and the gaslighting, that had a far more detrimental effect on me than the physical ever did.
Okay, now you threw a word out there, gaslighting.
Yes.
Tell what that is. Tell that we know emotional, physical. So tell and some other people, but just in case, what's gaslighting?
Gaslighting is when you take your negativity, your traits, and you put it off on the other person and say that they are the ones perpetrating this. This goes on a lot I'm finding it going on a lot in politics. You'll have one party saying that the other party is doing something that the other party is not doing. But the party that's saying that one they're gaslighting. They are taking, it's a subtle form of brainwashing.
Oh, wow.
It is very subtle, and it's not only in marital relationships. It can be between an employee and an employer. It can be between children. It can be. I mean, you really need to do some researching on this gaslighting. I was gaslit. I was gaslighted by husband number two, and I really hate to say this, but he was a pastor.
Oh, wow.
He was a pastor, and he just had that gift of. He was so persuasive to the point that I believed him more than my own thoughts. They're very shrewd people. They're very intelligent people, and they're very persuasive people. And so gaslighting goes on all the time, and we're beginning to hear more and more of it. It started. I learned about gaslighting when. I did some research and I looked it up, and there's a movie. It's a 1944 movie. I see Charles Boyer is one of the actors, and Ingrid Bergman. Charles Boyer is the husband, and he is the gaslighter. He wants to make his wife think that she's insane so he can put her away in an asylum, take her money, and go off on his own. And he almost gets away with it because he does it with a gas light. This goes way back. And we didn't have electric lights then. We had gas lights that you could raise shall I say, the light,
the flame,
the brightness, and you can dim it. And he would slowly dim it just a little every day. And at first she wasn't cognizant of the change. And then pretty soon she said, it looks like it's dark in here. And he would tell her, what's wrong with you? No, it's not. Nothing has changed. It's you. Why are you? And she got to the point where she knew something had changed, but she wasn't sure. She wasn't even sure of her own reality. And he almost got to the point where she was mentally going insane. And a neighbor came in and helped her and caught him in his own act.
Wow. That's a good movie. Sounds like
it's a good movie, but it's a terrible thing.
It's a reality thing.
That's right.
And that goes back to what I keep thinking about family health matters. That we have to be there for our family and our loved ones. We have to be there to support them and to offer guidance when it's accepted.
You are so right, because in this third person, I think his name is Cotton. I can't remember his name in the movie. Had he not been there, the gaslighter would have been successful in helping her to lose her mind. But that thing, he acted as a family member because he did care for her and he intervened. So your family is so important.
So important, yeah. So now, and we want to. I know we could talk about this. I mean, just the topic by itself, a whole 30 minutes just does not do it justice whatsoever.
No, it does
but so that we definitely won't run out of time, I do want to take this opportunity to just note that you are an author, and I hate to jump totally over into that, but I think if some people read some of these books, it may be helpful. So you want to just quickly just share the titles of, you got a testimony of a kept woman, and we can't tell everything about them. So maybe just a little tidbit, because I want to be able. Oh, you got a shot. You got a picture. Okay, good.
This is Testimony of a Kept Woman. And God had me to write this book. This is my memoir, and it tells what it's like to be in domestic abuse, the violence and the abuse. And this one tells what happened with husband number one and husband number two. This one helps me. How do you recover from the trauma and the drama? Because I mean, once you have gone into you've had an experience with it, it does something to you, and many people don't recover. But God gave me some strategies, and this one is entitled "From Victim to Victory: How to Recover from the Trauma and Drama of Domestic Abuse." And again, I use abuse rather than violence, because it's not all violence, and it makes people think that they're not in a physically violent relationship, that they're not being abused, and that's not true.
Right.
That's not true.
Yeah. So those are some awesome books, and then I did see one that was interesting, and I want to make sure that the pickle, a children's book, that was cute.
That is cute.
Yeah.
That was one, how teachers sometimes take a summer course in writing, and we had to write about our lives. And so I went back in time, a day in time, when I was in fifth grade. No, I was 5 years old. I was in first grade, and this pickle. The teacher said, "Do not eat pickles in class because I'm allergic to pickles." And all of us said yes, but we had not the slightest idea what allergic meant. And so I got this pickle, took a bite out of it, and of course the aroma went all through that teacher started turning colors. She grabbed me and took me to the principal's office and told him to discipline me because I had disobeyed her. Now, this was in 1946. I was in first grade and so corporal punishment was just par for the course.
Yeah.
So he let her leave, and then he told me in a very gentle voice, "Jan, I'm going to take this ruler and I'm going to hit the table. When I hit the table, I want you to yell. I'm going to do it 3 times, and I want you to yell." And he did. He hit it 1, yeah, 2 and 3 times, and then he said, "Just sit there." Then he sent me back to class. And she was so smug because she had heard. The principal's office, by the way, was right across from my classroom. And I fell in love with that principal. I fell in love with education. And that really directed my life. I wanted to be a teacher after that. Something that turned out could have been traumatic, turned out to be a blessing.
Oh, well, good.
It's a cute little book.
Well, those books are available for you if you want to, do some further investigation on those books. Then you can go on Amazon or Google. I cannot sell books or anything like that, but I'm just wanting people to be aware that they are there. And before we go any further, I do want to just tell us a little bit about the event that you'll be speaking at on October the 6th.
October the 6th. Thank you for it. It's going to be the 5th annual Domestic Violence Impact Luncheon. A Culture of Silence is the theme. And it's going to be Thursday, October 6th, 2022, from 11 o'clock a.m. to 1 o'clock p.m. at the Greenville Convention Center.
Yeah.
And the money is raised to help families that are in domestic abusive situations. And so it's sponsored by the Center for Family Violence Prevention. And it's a wonderful organization. Those kinds of centers were not available when I was going through in my younger day, and with husband number one. But they are available now, and they need help. They need financial help. And so this is going to be a fundraiser. The tickets are $50, and you can order them on Eventbrite.
Okay.
On
Perfect.
the internet.
Okay, good. So you all have had audience, Facebook and radio and YouTube and cable TV. You've heard just a little taste of Dr. Jan Newell-Byrd. So we hope that you will come out and support this wonderful 5th annual Domestic Violence Impact Luncheon. A culture of silence. And I was looking at the website there, and there is a phone number, 252-758-4400. So if you find yourself in a place where you need some support, you need some help, you need to get out, don't stay there. That is a number that you can call.
Yes.
And also you can also go to the National Domestic Violence Hotline. And that number is 1-800-799-7233. That's 1-800-799-7233, because nobody should be in any situation where they feel unsafe.
That's right.
So we wanted to make sure that that information is out there. And just really for just a minute, again, it's the 5th annual Domestic Violence Impact Luncheon, A Culture of Silence, and it's sponsored by the Center for Family Violence Prevention. And if you're in any danger or you need any help, know somebody that may not be willing to actually step out there on their own, then you can call and send or find out what kind of directions you need to go.
That's
and
right.
That number again is 252-758-4400. And really, if you feel like you're in danger, you need to call 911. When you just 911, just to get out of the situation that you're in. So Jan, just one little quick little nugget that you would throw out there to us. What would that be? Just a couple of minutes. What would that be that you would share with somebody that may be in an abusive situation?
I thank you. I am so blessed because there are many people who have lost their lives in domestic violence, especially, and who have been emotionally scarred with the verbal abuse. The Bible says death and life are in the power of the tongue. It's not so much what you say, but how you say it. And once words are said, they cannot be unsaid. So I think my purpose right now is to encourage, equip, and empower victims to be transformed by the renewing of their mind.
All right. What a wonderful way to end our session on today. So Dr. Newell-Byrd, Jan, thank you so much for coming being with us and sharing with us on Family Health Matters. What you have shared has just been just a little nugget, but it has been so helpful. So again, I'm your host, Wendy Bridgers. We are here every Thursday from 3 to 3:30 on Family Health Matters. Awesome Radio 106.9 FM. So feel free to join us on Family Health Matters.
Christian inspiration for the family and ministry teaching for practical Christian living. Awesome Radio.
Funerals are a very difficult thing for a family to go through. Besides the sorrow, loved ones are left with the stress and the high cost of arranging a funeral. That's why Funeral Advantage